So, kicking things off, a little request that I got, right, from a friend of mine via Facebook, right? This is straight out of nowhere. Scooby Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog. Now,
Right.
before y'all just, just change the station, or whatever it is, if you will, just hear about here for a bit, right? So, yeah, I got a request to review the newest, Scooby Doo direct-to-video film, right? Which honestly, has been like a series of films that I haven't been following up on for a long, 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 long while. And it's not
Right.
to say that I hate the character of Scooby Doo. That is just, like for us, right? Millennials, we just kind of grew up on the 70s show. There was the 80s, a pop named Scooby Doo, which
Right.
was fantastic for its
Right.
time.
Right.
Um, and then I don't know, for me, like just right after
Yeah.
the live action movies, I was just like, all right, well, Scooby Doo is still exists and people like it. Oh, I forgot to mention too, there was last year's Scoob, which
Right.
I
It was terrible.
defended, but I remember you didn't like at all.
Yeah. You too.
But to be honest, it's really one of those shows that it's just admittedly disposable, right? You just kind of watch it, you get your laughs from it and whatnot, but you're not gonna really like remember it in like a day or two, right? You just
Right.
kind of move on from it, right? Unfortunately. But what I mean, for better or worse, I mean, Scooby Doo is, I don't want to say timeless, but you really have to applaud the effort of Warner Brothers of making it seem timeless. You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be, some animated film or, some spin off or some, as we've seen throughout, the
Yeah.
film series, they're always going to be like these team ups, right? So it's
Right.
Scooby Doo meets the Jetsons or,
Right.
WWE wrestlers. So you see him with John Cena
Right.
and the Undertaker and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So they'll always find a way to make Scooby Doo relevant, right? And I can't be mad at them for that, right? Like again, I'm not the biggest fan of the character of the series, but I mean I can't be mad at them if you know what I mean, because people love these shows. I mean that's why they're being made, right?
Right.
But the real reason why I checked out this film here, which by the way is the 36th entry in the series, right? 36, right? 36 is because of a character called Courage the Cowardly Dog, right?
Right.
Which was one of the few shows I used to watch on, Cartoon Network, right? Not a show that I absolutely, absolutely, absolutely love, though, but it was one that just struck me from the word go. Reason being is because I actually think, I actually found the character of Courage to be quite hilarious, especially the way how he's designed and, the way how his exaggerated freakouts, especially when
Right.
he
Right.
sees creatures and ghosts. And while watching this, it really makes sense why you pair the two together because really and truly, Courage is inspired by Scooby
Yeah,
Doo.
it's an
Yeah.
interesting, it's an interesting combo because again, I won't say it's a natural evolution, but you could see the, for lack of a better term, the DNA of Scooby Doo in Courage. It's dealing with a lot of horror, but like it's real horror this time. Sometimes, um, Scooby Doo did start dabbling into actual supernaturality. Later down with later shows, Mystery Incorporated, for example, which is a great show. I did expect to be that should be as good as it was. For a whole generation, not really mine, but later Gen Zers types, they kind of got into that show. And Courage the has a really strange off the wall kind of um almost surrealistic type of humor. So it was interesting
Yes.
to hear this was coming together. So I decided to just give it a shot myself. Knowing I said, yeah, what are they gonna do with this exactly? Let me find out. And yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, agreed, agreed. I really one thing that really struck me with the series of Courage the Cowardly Dog was the surrealist humor and the visuals themselves, right?
Yeah,
And it just made for what I would call like Lynchian
right,
Lynch for
right.
kids. That's what it
Yeah,
was,
right,
right?
right,
Where
exactly,
yeah,
right, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, right,
just visually it just looks so strange and off-putting, but there was a sense of humor to it as well too. So even though like I imagine for kids, we just be watching, kind of laughing at Courage and his hijinks, right? Especially with the elderly owners that take care of him, right?
right.
Of course, that would be Eustace and
Eustace and
Muriel. Yeah, but it was just these scenarios that Courage will get himself into. Case in point, before I jump into this review here, like wow, probably one of my favorite episodes. Not I can't remember the actual name for it though, but I just remember the Doc Gerbil episode, right? This was the one where you were hearing the "It's a gerbil's world, it's a gerbil's world," and you were just hearing that in this kind of weird theme park, like this underground theme park thing that Courage
Right.
got himself into. Like there's just something about that that just stuck with me now. Like just the courage, haha, to just be dark and weird and frightening, but
Right.
make it palatable for kids, right? So that's what really made that show work, right? But anyway, what this movie here is a nutshell. It involves, well, Scooby Doo and the gang, of course. Fred, Shaggy, Daphne, and Velma, who should be in their 40s by now, but they're still
Okay.
teens, right? Because Scooby Doo, right?
Right. Cartoon world, right?
Yeah. I mean, Scooby Doo evolved, like Scooby Doo talking, like, saying sentences and shit, and everybody else
Well, I mean,
pretty
whoever
much
Bart
stuck in the
Simpson
same
and
world.
Bart Simpson and them is still 10, right? So whatever.
I know. It's
So,
just one of those it's just one of those dumb jokes or dumb points you want to think about, right? But yeah, so through some circumstances, Scooby hears this noise, right? And slight spoiler, it's actually a piece of music that was prominent throughout the Courage series, right? So I actually dug the fact that they actually put that into this film. I actually like that piece of music actually, right? And of course, Courage, who is still living in the middle of nowhere, he hears it as well too. So they just kind of run into each other, and then once they run into each other, now they're attacked by these giant cicadas, right?
yeah.
That literally just come from the ground, right? Of course, the gang is trying to figure out what's going on as well, too, right?
Right.
That leads into, well, specifically Velma, because she's the one really helping the charge now. Going just investigating all this weirdness that's been going on in nowhere, right? And one thing I really appreciate about this movie here is that it kind of answers the question, like why is there all this weird stuff going on in this town, right?
Right.
And you meet some characters as well, to a few that familiar characters from the Courage the Cowardly Dog series. I won't spoil who they are though. But you also meet the mayor, right? The actual mayor of Nowhere as well, right? And he has a little agenda on the side as well too. And it's just basically that. It's just Scooby and Shaggy and Courage. What I mean, being the cowardly out of everyone. Just running away and just running away from these creatures, right? Because not just the cicadas, but it's all other like freakish creatures as well, right? And there's a nice little subplot with Shaggy, because he's listened to this audiobook, about facing one's fears and being courageous too, and it ties back into the character of Courage as well too. Because I mean, look at
Right.
his name, right? So I'll stop there. So Ricardo, what were your thoughts on Street Out of Nowhere?
Right. I didn't think this was all that bad. It had some cringe. Let's admit it, especially a whole section with Eustace. Had some cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they stuck to like the offbeat kind of weird humor. Quite more stuck to the more current side of things than the Scooby Doo side of things. And the central conceit was good. Like when you find out what was causing what and why, and then they just resolved it the way it was resolved. It had enough funny humor, enough charming humor for what it was. Yeah, the only problem is that it just had a couple of the cringe moments that was like, okay, how do you do, fellow kids? They didn't need to do that. They could have cut some of that stuff. But yeah, for what it was, I didn't hate this. It's mostly fine, mostly tolerable, I should say. I wasn't bored. The main thing is keeping my attention. Like if you could keep my attention, good rule, right? Pretty good rule. And I dug it for what it was. I didn't hate it. Like I say, I didn't hate it. It's fine.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Ricardo. I found myself like quite enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like it's every bit what you expect from a family-friendly direct-to-video film, right? So it's harmless fun, even though they do go into some like really dark, surrealist territory, like visual-wise, right? Not so much story-wise, right? But yeah, I mean, I went and I thought I would be like rolling my eyes through the entirety of the show, but no, actually. I mean, there's a few like, okay, like, all right, they're gonna drop this joke. Okay, they're gonna say this. All right, right. But still, I mean, it was just really cool seeing Scooby and Courage together, right? Just the way how they bounce off each other. I actually forgot how
Right.
hilarious of a character Courage is, especially the way he
Yeah.
talks with that
Yeah.
like the way he talks is so funny to me. Even the way how he walks as well too. Yes, there's a little time spent on Eustace and Muriel. There's actually a musical sequence involving
Right.
Eustace that was kind
Yeah.
of you know,
Yeah. And the one big
but
sticking point.
it didn't last
Yeah.
long though. So
Yeah. The one big sticking point about it was where I forgot that the actress from Muriel died. So this is the last. Well, I'd imagine this is the last work, right? Yeah. White.
yes, yes, yes. Which is weird because I was expecting to see like a RIP to, well, the actress name
Right.
is Tia
Right.
White, but
Right.
it wasn't there because I actually like watched the entirety of the show. I didn't see anything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit of a letdown, man. They really should
Yeah.
have acknowledged her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, as far as the story goes, is every bit what you'd expect with these films, right? It's just like this over the top mystery, but it's not really like a mystery per se.
Right.
It's
Right.
just okay, who's doing what and why, and of course, you have to do the usual. Let's see who the monster or the villain really is, right? And you do the unmasking, right? It's there, right? But there's a nice little twist I would see in terms of that moment, right? Um, well, then again, I can't really say it's similar to the other films because I haven't really watched them or probably I haven't seen them or let alone memorize them, right? But there was a lot of time spent on Scooby and Shaggy, and not so much on the others, right? Which I guess is party territory. I guess probably that might disappoint some diehard fans, but I mean when they're there, I mean they do their thing, right? But I felt like Velma was front and center as well too, because like I said before, she really she was holding in charge basically, right? She was the one
Right.
who kicked things off into motion, right? But it's just really seeing Scooby and Courage together that worked for me, right? The hijinks they do together. I mean, some things is typical Scooby Doo stuff, like they do the typical running from like the large hallway and like 8 doors, so
Right.
you're
Right.
running
Yeah.
left, right, left,
Yeah.
right. They
Yeah.
do
The
that
usual.
stuff,
Yeah.
right?
That's a classic bit. That's always fun if you
Yeah,
do it right. If you
exactly.
do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also too, they do the surrealist humor from Courage, and I was looking forward to.
Right.
That was looking forward to actually.
Yeah.
There's
That's
actually
why.
like a
Yeah.
moment, a great moment actually. It's like it's not a musical number, but it's set to a song where it's just our heroes running into one surrealist scenario after the next. It just keeps
Right.
amping up and amping up and amping up, and I thought that was a really great moment. Though, like for some, it might just fly over their heads and whatnot. But I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I come to expect with the show anyway.
Yeah. 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 That's the main reason why it works is that it kept enough of that style of humor. Like that's something that you're looking for. It didn't try to half it either. Like, oh, well, it's trying to be a halfway kind of thing. No, it's really more Scooby Doo inside a Courage movie. It felt more like, um, for me at least.
Yeah,
And that's why that's why I think I appreciate it and it kept my attention because it's like, okay, they're not trying to cater to things except for that one part with Eustace. They wasn't really trying to like, a lot of these kids shows is like kind of talk down to kind of
hmm
thing. So yeah, it's that. And I felt all right, cool. I could see younger kids who not into the bullshit stuff will enjoy it for what it is. So yeah, I dug it.
yeah. A couple of things, couple before we wrap up. I also appreciate the message of being courageous, right? I mean, it's a simple message, and it actually comes from a famous quote. I would just slight spoiler from Nelson Mandela. That's all I would say. But it's a timely quote though, and they make it work here for the most part, right?
Right.
Also, last but not least, because it's a Warner film, they just had to squeeze in a reference or two to one of their tentpole films, right? I'm not gonna say what film it is though, but the references show up in the climax of the film. That's all I'll say though. Like when you see it, especially when a character does a certain something, be like, oh yeah, that's from that one movie that
Right.
we saw months ago. We during the lockdown, right? But they make it work. They make it their own for the most part, right? So other than that, you're right. I mean, this kept me entertained. I wasn't bored. I wasn't pissed off while I was watching this. And what I would say is that I mean, if you're a fan of these films, you'll have a blast with this, right? Um, But this is clearly a family film, though, and I was just thinking to myself, if I had like kids of my own, you know what I mean, like if they're like real young and whatnot, I'd show them this, and I'd actually
Yeah.
introduce them to Courage the Cowardly Dog, you know what I mean, and maybe when they get older, I'll introduce them to the world of David Lynch and like stuff like Twin Peaks and Eraserhead, and then they'll probably
Right.
watch me like, Dad, what the hell is this, right? But whatever. So while I don't think it's best to really rate the show. But I guess in terms of what we do here, we might as well, right? So for me, 3 out of 5. It's alright for
Yeah.
what it is, man.
Around that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't see myself watching this again. I really don't see myself seeking out the others. But this combo, this tag team or team up, whatever you want to call it, this one worked for me. It didn't feel
Right.
off, like just weird, like say Scooby Doo in the WWE, whatever it was, or the Jetsons, or whatever it was. This one makes sense. Like, and when you really see the film or you see just how these scenarios play out, it will make sense to you why this
Right.
pairing makes a lot of sense. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, yeah, I largely agree. Yeah, yeah, for me, 7 out of 10. It's serviceable. Again, as the kids say, it understood the assignment. What it just did, it just say, okay, if Scooby and Courage were to come together, what you will do with it, and it came up with a reasonable answer, right? They come up with a mystery. They more focus on the Courage stuff than the Scooby stuff. I'll argue. That's at least how it felt to me. And then they did that, and that's what we got. And I can't be mad at any of that, to be honest. Yeah, 7 out of 10. It's fine, it's serviceable. I thought it worked for what it was.
Right, right, right. So sticking with animation again, let's talk about Star Wars Visions.
Sure.
This is an anthology series, an anime anthology series now,
Right.
based in the universe of Star Wars, right? I remember seeing not so much the first trailer, but well, not the teaser, but the actual trailer for it and being, excited for it, right? So we got all 9 episodes, which actually caught me by surprise because, it came out the same day as episode 7 of What If, right? But I was
Right.
under the impression that it's Disney Plus, so it's gonna be a weekly series. But no, they dropped all 9 shorts,
One time. Yeah.
one time. And I was like, okay, word, okay, okay. So what we'll just do is just sort of just kind of just mention each episode and just quick thoughts on what we thought about it, right? Just mainly it's similar to like what we did with Love, Death, and Robots, right? Where
Right.
it's just again it's an anthology, so there
Yeah. It's
will be
it's
ones that you like and some that you don't
Right.
really
Yeah,
like, and
it's
so
yeah,
on.
in the same vein as if you remember if anybody remember the Animatrix, in that same vein.
Yes.
Except this doesn't really tie into any kind of workable canon as far as I understand. So it's not like, when it is or how. Like they don't really care. They kind of just do their own thing continuity wise. That's, I think, the only distinction between this and say the Animatrix, which was within canon. But yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So first episode was the duel, right?
Right.
Oh, and by the way, each episode is designed by a particular studio. Well, actually, one studio gets the opportunity to do two films
Right.
in this series, which is cool. It's cool.
Right.
But yeah, in this case, it is Kamikaze Doja, Dougga. And I'm calling these out right now because I really do need to, I don't know, just check out more of their work. Like just probably check out like maybe if they have a YouTube channel or
Right.
Facebook page. And I mean, just check to see what they do. So, I mean, because these studios, similar to like what we saw with Love, Death, and Robots, just
Right.
really went out of the way to just make some really eye catching
Right.
content, right? But yeah, with the duel now, this for me is my favorite of the
Yes,
bunch.
I
Um,
agree.
yeah, just from that black and white charcoal look, just
Right.
caught
Yeah.
me from the
That that
jump.
that lead pencil charcoal look is excellent.
Yeah, I
Really,
love that.
really
I
good.
love that.
That's the one
Yeah,
when I seen the ads and all the ads and the promo stuff, that's the one I was waiting for. I thought that would
me
be the
too.
last one. I thought it'd make me wait. But I was like, no, first one. And then the story, in my opinion, is the best. I
It
actually like this
is. Yeah,
one as well.
totally, totally.
Yeah.
And what I love about this too is that you can see the Akira Kurosawa worship in this too.
Right,
You
right,
see
right.
Yojimbo, the
Yeah. Yeah.
character coming in, and there's this gang that's running this village.
Right.
You have Seven Samurai in a sense, you know what I mean, with
Right.
in terms of how the character fights back. And I actually thought it was a smart call to not repeat that episode of season 1 of Mandalorian, which was a tribute to Seven
Right,
Samurai. If you
right,
remember that,
right,
right?
right, right,
So
right,
I'm
right,
glad they didn't do that, right?
right.
So yeah,
Uh,
I just thought the fact that it's just this ruling character who shows up. He does the typical Yojimbo thing where he, rents out this place and he's just watching these characters do their thing, and then suddenly this big badass, Sith warrior who shows up and points for that umbrella weapon that she have. Though, because I
right,
remember
right.
seeing it
Yeah,
in the trailer, like, oh, what's this? But when you see it work,
yeah,
though, like, what? Okay,
yeah.
you
It
know what I
was.
mean? Yeah, yeah. But there's I see like there's a particular trend that, or at least a team that shows up, or just like a not so much a team, but there's something that kind of pops up ever so often in this anthology. Kyber crystals. It's always about the
Right,
idea
right.
of sourcing one or finding one or acquiring one
Right.
or
So
something like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
right?
Kyber, right.
Yeah.
Kyber crystals is the main plot device of the lightsaber. How basically the core of how a lightsaber largely works. These kyber crystals is focus energy. I forget the details of the fake science, but it's that is basically the story. So yeah, it was kind of interesting that they focus so much on that as it
Yeah.
was. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
but other than that though, for as short as it was, because it was roughly about 13 minutes or so, because
right,
a majority of these episodes clocking at about roughly 13, 15 minutes. There's one that actually goes on for 22 minutes. That's the longest one. I'll get to that in a bit.
right.
But yeah, this one just grabbed me from the jump though.
Yeah,
I watched this in Japanese because, by the way, it's available now, in
right.
Japanese and English. And I did this thing where I watched the first I watched like the odd number episodes I would watch, in Japanese, even number ones I'd watch in English, just to hear how it sounds. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, yeah.
but this one just sounded fantastic in Japanese. Oh,
Right.
duh. I would love to like, probably I will rewatch it, but I want to hear the English dub for sure, man. But yeah, this one. Love this one. This one is destined to be a fan favorite in this anthology here. See, Ricardo, thoughts on the duel?
Yes, this was again like you was my favorite. Look great, just style and substance. Because the reveal of what the big reveal in the story one was pretty awesome actually. I thought that was a great reveal, and then at the end, what was going on with him,
Yes.
was also pretty goddamn awesome. I was like, all right, that have me. They rope me in.
Mhm.
I thoroughly dug this and enjoyed it for what it was. I had a lot of fun with it. Just looked great, and yeah, this one had me from the jump.
Right. So next off we have is Tatooine Rhapsody.
Right.
This is from Studio Colorado. Colorado. Not
Okay.
Colorado, Colorado, right? This one is one of my least favorites.
Right. Yeah. Me too.
Right?
It
Um,
it have a core. It have a core. The core story isn't half bad. I actually like it for it.
no, no,
The
no. Yeah,
resolution. The resolution is good and it's quite charming for what they're trying to go for, and so it works. For what it is. But yeah, I couldn't get into it as much.
yeah.
It
That's the
skips
thing.
forward
I
though.
just couldn't get into it though, because
Yeah.
was is just basically like this ragtag, group of rockers who formed this group and they just performing across the galaxy. But one of them just happened to be Huts, right?
Yeah.
And Hutties, right?
Yeah.
And well, his relative is Jabba, and he
Right.
seeks them out, and is well, oh, let's capture all of them, and let's execute them, right? But the leader of the band, basically, who by the way is smart little visual cue here. He actually uses a lightsaber as a mic. So
Right.
he
Right. Right.
flips
Right.
it around, uses it as a mic. I thought that was really cool. So yeah, they decide to perform this one song together, right? So before I get to my thoughts on that song, right? So I didn't even know. I watched this in English, right? The kid who plays G, right? The lead character, the lead singer, is Joseph Gordon-Levitt, though.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
what?
I know they had a bunch of.
Okay.
I know they had a bunch of decent enough voice actors for this.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they got some really great ones, but like I was hearing your voice, like like if you like put your ears to the screen or to the speaker, whatever, you could hear Joseph's voice. You could hear it. You know what I mean? But that song though was trash in my opinion. I was just kind of watching
Well, I
this.
mean,
It's like
yeah, whatever. It's as usual. Like It's usually a movie rock song that they don't really actually sit down to make a rock song. They just
Yeah.
some generic movie rock song. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I
they was just trying to mimic Scott Pilgrim versus the World, so they wanna
right,
copy
right,
that
exactly,
style, you know what I
right.
mean? But that song was trash. But I heard it
Huh,
in English, yeah, so maybe it sounds better in Japanese. I don't know, right? But
right.
yeah, I mean, animation wise, it was good. I mean, nothing too spectacular, but just the story was just kind of man. I don't know. I just felt it could have gone a lot wilder and crazy, seeing that it's this rock story. But I just felt like it started off like they were going in this wild direction, but it's kind of stopped and want to be all dramatic and shit because oh the band split and you're part of the group, man, and we love this and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of went dramatic just because, right? But yeah, other than that, dude, this was one of my least favorites. Didn't hate it, but just one that, as I say, I just didn't click with, couldn't connect with. So yeah, anything else you want to weigh in on Tatooine Rhapsody?
Yeah, no, not really. I again, as enjoying it for what it is. Again, it was one of my least favorites, but it was whatever. Like it didn't bother me too much. I just dug it for what it was. But that's it. It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. It
Yeah,
was fine.
yeah. Even though it
Uh,
is one of my least favorites, pong for pong.
right, right. Next off, we have the twins, right? This one, I want to put as this one, I kind of wrestling with. Is it one of my favorites or is it
Right.
like somewhere in the middle? Reason being is that because they go in, it's shonen, right? Because they go in the shonen route now. Yeah, this is, and I remember this from the trailer as well too. Yeah, this is easily probably the most over the top episode
Right.
in the series thus far. But the premise is really great though, where you have these twins who were born basically in the sit, right? And they both, well, at least, well, a male and female, sorry, right? So basically the female is that has this idea that she just wants to just to dominate and rule and all that kind of stuff, right? Because it's it stuff, right? I didn't even know after the fact that the English actress playing her was McGill Alison Brie. I was like, well, okay,
Right. Yeah.
okay,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Right. So she right. Yeah.
right.
I
And
should.
and
I
the
should have.
brother is Neil Patrick Harris. Like, well,
Right.
okay, yeah.
I should keep track of who was doing who, but I kind of forgot. I was like, well, I'll
Yeah,
check
I,
it
I,
out.
I went in
I,
completely blind. I just was
right.
waiting for credits and then I'll see
Right.
who said what,
Right.
right? Oh,
Right.
by the
Right.
way, it's done by Studio Trigger, right? Yeah, Studio Trigger or Trigger Inc., right? But yeah, so it just kind of winds up with again, well, the kyber crystal, right? The fighting over this kyber crystal, and it goes into this all-out insane duel, which
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would
So,
admit was kick-ass, but at the same time
yeah.
was just so over the top. Though I was just like,
Yeah.
all right,
Well, it's just,
should
everybody.
I really take
I've,
this seriously?
Yeah, I forget who make the joke is like if you watch that and accept it, then you can't complain about Princess Leia last year, like right? Um,
I know, right? So they do the
yeah,
same thing, but like I remember, like people complain, "Oh, you can't do that." Well, not a destroyer, but one of the other starships can't do that. But what they do something similar in this episode where I was like, I want to see all the complain about that now, eh? But it's done in this glorious anime style with the characters
yeah,
monologuing and doing the
yeah,
and all that kind of stuff. Now, it was so glorious, but at the same time, it was just
yeah.
kind of cliche at the same time.
Right.
So for me, I really enjoyed it though. This one was one of the more anime influenced episodes,
Yeah,
but
this one didn't
can't
care.
say at the moment is like one of my top favorites. Like maybe if I
Right.
watch it a couple more
Well,
times, I will
the
play it there.
story,
But it's just so over the top that it's just kind of hard for me to take it seriously now.
right? At least again because I was at first I was telling myself, well, when this happening exactly, and when was this developed, and so on. So in the continuity of these towers, I was like, nah, they kind of don't really care about that. They just kind of doing their own thing, and they did already business, for what it was. So I was like, all right, well, whatever. I can leave it as is. Um, So, but yeah, because in this it had this big core weapon involving what do you call it, boy? There's some basically like a Death Star, but it's two Star Destroyers with a Death Star type laser in the middle, or something along those lines. I'm like, whatever. Having fun with this, fine.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, I just had fun with this one. The way it was trying to do and see, and it was just the two of them, and he decided to go on the light side instead. And I'm like, all right, cool. I dig it for what I'll dig it for what it is. And I was just having fun with it. Again, I just kind of went into these, for what they are. They just don't take them too seriously. Don't invest yourself to just watch the story for it is. So I didn't fight them in that sense. That's about it. Fine.
Right, right, right. So next episode is the Village Bride, right?
Right.
This one I would say, really, really harkens to like the Hayao Miyazaki films.
Right.
I was specifically picking up on a bit of Princess Mononoke in terms of the
Right.
idea of the spirit of the earth, right? Well, it's a force, of course, right? But they call it something else, right? I didn't expect that it would lean into more how to say, more like Japanese traditions and whatnot. So it's kind of based around a wedding. That's all we'll see, right?
Right.
Um, the story, I would admit, though, did take a while to jump to kick into high gear, though. It just felt like, okay, we're just kind of building the story, building the world, building the character situations, all that kind of stuff, though. But I would admit, though, it did take a while for it to pick up, though. But when it does, though, I was like, all right, I'm in, because it actually concludes on a really, really strong note, in my opinion, right? Didn't expect to hear McGill, Karen Fukuhara, right, be the lead in this. I was like, all right, that was cool. But in that case, now I took in the Japanese dub, right? So it's only after the fact I saw that Karen was involved in it, right? So I would say that like I said, the story does take a while to get into, to kick into high gear. Sorry, but when it does, though, it worked. It worked.
Right.
This was, I want like I would I'm sort of in the middle with this one, though. Like I kind of came out of it wishing that I enjoyed it a lot more. But still, for what it's worth, and well, I should say last thing now, the story went into some, like really unique and unique directions that I didn't see coming. I didn't think they were gonna go this route or that route. So I applaud the writers for this, right? And
Yeah.
the animation, which is done by Kinema Citrus,
Right.
was
Okay.
decent. Was decent, yeah. So not one of my favorites, but this was decent, man. I dug this. So yeah, totally the Village Bride.
Yeah, this is my top half. I really dug this one. Nice slice of life story, but at the same time, really interesting character piece for what it was trying to do and go for. I really dig this one too.
All right, nice, nice, short and sweet. I love it. Right. So next off, we have the long. Well, this is the longest episode. Now clocking it at roughly 22 minutes. Right. This is the Ninth Jedi. This is from production IG. This is one of my favorites, just off of
Right.
story alone. The story alone, I thought was fantastic. Um, I love, well, at least in this case, though, with the runtime being this relatively long, I like the fact that it took the time to tell its story, right? So it didn't jump into a set of like action sequences or whatnot. It didn't feel like they had to rush things. It just kind of took the time and just explore the characters, right? And I dug the idea of the lead character, this girl who actually found out after the fact is voiced by Kimiko Glenn. I didn't even know that she was in this. She plays Kara. Her father is a blacksmith, well, a lightsaber blacksmith, if you will, right?
Right.
And just the idea that, oh, what I mean, this strange figure, this Jedi character, apparently calling, the remaining Jedi to unite against this Sith character, right? So I dug the the concept of that as well too, and how she gets roped into it. Thought it was really cool as well with the
Right.
idea of her acquiring this lightsaber that didn't have a color. So like when the beam shows up, it's both like overly long and it doesn't really have like an exact color to it. So I thought it was really cool. And how they explain, well, where the color, how you do get the color. I thought that was. I mean,
Right.
it's fake science, but it works. It works, right?
No, well,
But yeah,
it works in the story for the concept of the story. I like because of the big reveal in that show, which I thought
yes,
was really great.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I thought
and
that's great because they reveal like this was my second favorite where
right.
the big
Well, it's
twist.
mine too, actually. So there
Yeah,
you go. Yeah.
yeah. The big twist was, oh, okay, that's what's going on, and they hint at it earlier in the narrative. Now, like, ah, okay,
Yeah, and
that
that
that,
that was
that
a really really smart twist. I
yeah,
did not see that coming at all.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah. And well, that final battle was just
great,
all sorts of kick-ass. I
yeah,
love it. And it's from production IG. I mean, they have
right,
been putting out work for decades now. I mean, they are top tier as far as anime right now, right? So I mean, glad that they got involved in this. So yeah, what I mean, I do agree with you. This is my second favorite of the bunch here. So anything else you want to weigh in on the Ninth Jedi?
No, nothing really worth mentioning other than that. Okay, only after I'll mention something, but yeah, it was fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Also, I now realize that Studio Trigger also made another film in this series, right? But I'll get to that one in a bit. That's episode 7. So
Right,
episode 6. This is the first of two that this group, the studio, sorry, Science Saru, First time
Right.
I'm hearing about these guys, me, right? Called Toby, right? So it's
Right.
TOB1, right? So like what I was watching, it's like, all right, this is like Obi-Wan Kenobi in a sense, like Obi,
Right.
get it? Ha ha ha,
I, I,
right?
I just I just got it as to be one, like to be one of something, like to be one
Yes,
Jedi or something like that.
right, right. That's
This
a
one
great
is the
point.
most this one is the most subversive one in terms of the Star Wars lore,
Yes,
because
it is.
they brought up something that they never talk about in Star Wars, or at least not address it. It was addressed in one thing in one Star Wars movie, which is Solo, and which is the whole idea of, well, how we should be treating droids, right? How we should think about droids. One of the big sticking points with Star Wars is, by its very working definition, droids have no moral weight, on almost none, right? Like the good guys trying to treat them well, but they wouldn't have any moral weight in the Star Wars universe for one simple reason: the Force itself, right? There's a literal, this is a kind of a old term in biology, it's an outdated concept. It's proven called elan vital, or living force, or life force, or something like that. And the droids, don't have access to the Force, so even the lowly Womp Rat should have more moral weight than a droid. But
Mm,
yet, droids seem conscious and have emotions and whatever it is. But all of that shit don't matter because they don't have access to the Force. Like, I always thought that was the working subtext in Star Wars. Only in Solo it's brought up by a character. Like, that's her core thing. And then, well, she becomes the Millennium Falcon, right? Um, I thought they could have done something more with that. Like, I thought somebody would actually address that. No one has ever addressed it, right? In Star Trek, we just like apply, an intentional stance to robots, right? If the robot walking and talking like a man, you treat him like a man. You give him rights. They had a whole trial about it, and they sort it out, right, Mr. Data, right? But in this, it's like, no, they by because the Force is real and everyone believes in the Force, machines would just not be acknowledged. You'll just be like slaveries forever. And they don't really do that in this. They're just kind of like, well, he could be a Jedi. Wow. Like, okay. I thought that was pretty interesting for what it was. And this one was basically the Astro Boy / Mega Man one, right? But it
yes,
worked.
yes, as I was
Yeah.
gonna bring up Astro Boy in
Right.
that though, because yeah, you could see the influence
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that, and Mega Man to extent too, you could see the
Right.
influence of that on the two
Rusty the
lead
Boy Robot.
characters.
Yeah, Rusty the Boy Robot. Yeah, but it's really Astro Boy. Same
Yeah, yeah,
aesthetic
yeah.
and style. Yeah.
Right. Now, if I just had one gripe with this too, I wasn't sure where the story was going, because this one is the more hot, or how to say, I don't want to say childish or kid friendly or family friendly, whatever it is though. But it does lean on a sort of like light-hearted direction at first, but then it gets a little bit more serious and then triumphant in the end, right? Which I actually really 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 dug the end though. But it was just leading up there. I was just kind of watching it. I really wasn't sure where the story was going, but
Right.
it is quite fascinating as well too, especially with the character of Toby, right, or Toby
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah.
So other than that though, I would say like I wouldn't have this as a top three, in terms of my favorites. This would be like
Nah.
a 4 or 5 at the moment,
Right.
right?
This
But
this was this was in the
this
this
one
was
really did have a really fascinating story. It's
I,
just it just took a while to get it, but when they made its
I,
point, I was like, okay,
yeah.
all right, I like this stuff.
I'd put this like right behind Village Bride for me. It was just right there for me. I didn't like it or love it, but it was like just sit there. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Right. So next off, we have my third favorite. This would
Yes.
be The Elder.
Yes.
Um, this is from Studio Trigger, right? This one just hit. It just touched the Jedi geeky / samurai fan in me, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just basically these two Jedi, right? Well, Padawan and Master, right? Who hone in on the force of another one who is on this random planet, right? And when they're not too sure what his motives are, right? But then you actually see who the character is, and yes, he, as the title suggests, he is elderly, right? And
Yeah.
then you realize how much of a badass he is, though. But
Yeah.
what I love about it, though, is that they leave his identity, as in, is he Jedi or Sith? They leave that open, right? Even
Right.
though, to be fair, he is Sith, right? But there could
Well,
be the
right. So,
possibility that he is Jedi, but he just wanted Sith powers, right? So it's very
okay.
much akin to Anakin's Junior, right? So
Right.
I
Right.
dug that. The fight scene though was
Right.
just right up my alley. I
Yeah.
just love that fight sequence too. The music was fantastic as well, right? And animation was excellent as well too. And it was funny too that the guy who plays the master is in English is David Harbour though. Like when I was listening to the voice, I was like, oh shit, that's him. The what? You would,
Wow.
wow, okay, okay. But yeah, this was my favorite, in terms of story, animation, fights, what I mean, and particularly the music as well too, which is very, Jedi geeky
Yeah.
influence. So yeah, this is my third favorite. So yeah, anything you want to weigh in on the Elder?
Yeah. Again, also my third favorite. I really dug this one. Yeah, what it plays with, and I like this one for the same reason. And the first, I really like the first one, which is the idea of the Sith, and I really wish more people explore this idea. And we got a little bit of this in the Clone Wars, the Jenny Tartakovsky Clone Wars, right? Where, well, if you have a Sith and Sith fail, what will happen if Sith decide to run away? Because there's always gets into this idea of it only must have two Sith, master and apprentice, and if it have more than two, they are kind of had a fight for the space now. But what has happened if you have Sith who will hunt other Sith, like, or
Yeah,
something like that, right? Like you could have a bunch of like basically kind of anarchy kind of thing, and it plays into that idea of the concept of the masterless samurai, the Ronin, right? Which is what the whole, because of the whole influence and that back and forth that George Lucas had with Kurosawa in particular. It plays with the Ronin concept. If you're doing that really well, it's very clever, right? And I thought this was really clever because this guy, this elder character, he is most likely a Sith, as they mentioned in the story, but he's probably like a Sith who's hunted a Sith or just doing it for power, and he don't really give a shit about the Sith thing, like that holding him back. He's such a psycho. I love that, right? And they get into that aspect of it. I thought just that simple world building and visual storytelling involving, and then the combat is badass. Yeah, this
mhm.
one is pretty up there for me.
Yeah, and I also dug the dialogue that the two leads have in terms of
Yeah,
understanding what it means to be a Jedi, right? I dug that. I dug that, especially. Right, so two more to go. We have Lup and Ocho, right?
right,
This admittedly was one that I really, really, really wanted to like do, but I
right.
just felt like story-wise, it was just clunky, man. And it's a shame too
Yeah,
because they had like about 19 minutes, you know, for this, right? And the,
yeah,
the, the premise is quite good, you know what I mean? In terms of, well, just basically you have this alien named Lup who is adopted by this well, yeah, basically this well, because we work with anime, right? This clan leader basically and his daughter Ocho, right? So
right.
of course Lup and Ocho become friends, right? Well, sorry, become sisters if you will, right?
Yeah,
But then
right.
you cut to years later now, and then Ocho decides that she wants to work for the Empire, right? But Lop is against that now, and they have this back and forth basically. But then, one thing I actually like though is how they really stay true to, the whole samurai stuff where it's like, so the father basically gives Lop, the lightsabers like this has been passed down in our family for generations and all that kind of stuff now. But I like the idea that, it's legacy. It doesn't matter whether it's by blood or whatever it is. Like you're part of the family, you deserve this, you have this, right? So I actually like when Ocho's like, you don't deserve that. You know what I mean? I'm his daughter, all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Um, the world building I felt was a bit rushed though, especially in the opening sequence. But I do like the idea of how characters work in this world, where basically it's like, oh, the empire is controlling things in this particular place, and not everybody's down with that, right? So you have people who are against that. Some people just kind of give up. It's just like, well, you know what? There's a means to end, so I kind of have to do this. And this is where Ocho comes in. Like she kind of feels like this is what we need to do, right? So you can understand the difference in opinion between Ocho and Lopda. But this
Right.
felt like just the payoff could have been a lot better. This kind of ends. It's like, oh well, all right, okay, that's how it ends. Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
yeah, really wanted to like this though. This is from Geno Studio. I actually dug the animation for this in particular, especially the set design. I thought the set design in particular was fantastic, right? But yeah, just story wise, I just wish that could have just been better told, right? So
Right.
not not one of my favorites though, but I mean it was fine for what it is. I just
Yeah.
wanted more out of it personally.
Yeah, I myself felt this fell a little flat. You're right about that. It's still decent enough because of the core conceit of it. Um, I couldn't really get mad at any of it because it just works for what it's trying to do for and go for. Like yeah, they're doing the thing. I couldn't be mad at any of that, to be honest. But yeah, it didn't. I didn't hate it. It just they could have just do more with this. To be honest, yeah, that's about it.
Right. And last but not least, by Akakiri, right? So this was one that I watched in English. So I heard Henry Golding, who plays the lead in this,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't know that till after the fact, right? And this was the most underwhelming for me,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Me too.
I, um, it's from Science Saru, right? And okay, so the animation is an acquired taste, right? It's not like it's badly animated or anything like that, but it's just done in a style that didn't really quite click with me. I felt like it just peeled in comparison to everything else that we got before. But really, what made this episode not work for me though was just the story, right?
Right.
Because it's setting up this whole thing with this lead character. Um, he's having like these weird visions, and he's trying to get back in touch with old flame of his princess. But he has to go on this mission to stop these Sith people and all that kind of stuff. But it's just where it ended and just how things kind of played out was just like, well, that was it. Like that's all we get to. So it just felt like there were just moments that just kind of felt just out of place. Like case in point, the scene with like these characters on like these horse like creatures, and the fighting of these marauders, whoever it is. Like I just felt like it didn't really add anything to the story that much, and just I don't know, just story wise, it just felt flat. It just
Yeah.
didn't
Too.
really work for me at all.
Um.
So yeah.
Yeah. I dug it for what it was trying to do. It it's a slice of life kind of thing, so it's fine. I didn't have a major issue with any of that. Um. But yeah, as you said, it does really like not really pulling enough for it to work. But yeah, I thought it was fine mostly for what it was trying to kind of go for, maybe. But yeah, I understand the problems that you would have with it, to be honest.
Yeah. So I mean, similar with with anthologies, it's kind of hard to really like rate all of them as a full package. Well, I
Right.
guess if it was like a movie, you could kind of do that, right? But as a series, I mean, you just have to kind of call it for what it is, right? And I would say that this was a worthwhile watch. I must say though. It's one of those shows that you kind of wish deep down inside they could have done ages ago. You know what I mean? This just maybe not just because of how highly influenced Star Wars is from Japanese film and whatnot, right? But also because of just the evolution of anime, right? You know what I mean? Especially into the sci-fi, right? Because they draw a lot from Star Wars, right? I mean, in subtle and unique ways, right? So I
Yeah.
think this is something that you could have seen. Like honestly, this could have been out, like right after Animatrix. Like like
Right.
Lucasfilm could have seen this and seen like, oh, Animatrix came out the same year as Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions. So here's what, like I don't know, before Revenge of the Sith, let's just do our anime anthology film or whatnot. But instead of that, they just kind of decided after Revenge of the Sith, let's do the Clone Wars movie, right? So okay. But yeah, I mean, as a whole, I'll give this, a decent, strong 3.5 out of 5, man. This is worth checking out, especially if you're a fan of Star Wars, of course. If you're a fan of anime, in particular, if you're a fan of animation, yeah, you should definitely seek this out. And I just love what all these studios brought to the table. Even the last one, which animation wise, I was just kind of nonplussed by. Um, and I really should, check out their other works as well. Whether it's like an anime series or a movie or a short film, or whatever like that. I really should seek out their other films, man. And like yeah, show them support, man. I mean, they're doing the thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
if
I'll
we're
say,
gonna get to
I'll say,
season two, I don't know, but
right,
I would be excited to see a season two, man. I think it deserves
right,
a season two.
right. I just wanted. The only issue I was wishing that we have we call it. It would have a basically like just a company that I was missing that I really wanted. I wanted UFO Table to be part of this. That would have been pretty awesome. That is
All
about
right.
it. They just have but they're already big, right? So they're already big in the dance in terms of big popular companies. But I wanted to see like other bigger companies, but it's fine. But that's about it.
Yeah. So what would you rate it if you care to rate it?
Overall, I give it overall I give it like a pretty decent score, like a 8 out of 10 if it's up to me. The small ones that set back don't really hold me back so much. I still dug them for what it was. I had no major issues with any of them, and to be honest, even the ones that I didn't like, I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's like I don't have any big problems in here. That, to be honest, that is about it. It's fine. No major complaints. Even the ones that I'll say I didn't like, still fine.
All right, nice.